Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, because there are quite a few of you that are new in the last week, it was kind of crazy. The one video that I really didn't put that much time and effort into compared with some of my other videos took off more than my other videos, and so I've gained a bunch of new subscribers. So welcome. If you don't know me, my name is Lindsay. I am a mostly stay-at-home mom. I say that as a caveat because I do work about 15 hours a week outside of the home, but it's in like the fringe hours. Predominantly, I'm a stay-at-home mom of 3 small girls. I have a 3rd grader, a 1st grader, and a toddler. I run this YouTube account as more of a hobby. I drink lots of coffee. That wasn't supposed to rhyme, that was just an added bonus for you. And I like to talk about minimalism, frugality, simple living, slow living, carnivore diet, animal-based diet. My kids eat more of an animal-based diet. They eat more fruits than I do, more berries. I eat probably what would be considered ketovore because I do occasionally add in some vegetables or avocados. Not all of the time, but occasionally I do. And I am working on what my kids eat in a typical week. I just started filming it yesterday, so I haven't gotten the footage for all of it yet though, but that is coming probably next week, hopefully. Anyways, today we are going to talk about how to live below your means by, I'm looking at my computer, I wrote it all down because if I don't write it down, I will get way off topic and go off on a tangent. 10 tips to embrace frugal minimalism, because I do not think they are mutually exclusive. I think you can embrace both. You can embrace frugality and you can embrace minimalism, and you can do so happily. You do not have to spend a lot of money to be a minimalist, and you don't have to live in a super minimalist aesthetic apartment. So anyways, here we go. Number 1 is to focus on what you actually need, and you can see the dog. Focus on what you actually need instead of buying what you want. I always try to imagine myself living without something before I actually buy it. Most things that at least Americans or people in the West buy are not actual needs. I read a statistic, it might have been from Joshua Becker, that said we waste like $1,800 a year, or maybe it was a month. I don't remember the statistic. But regardless, we waste an insane amount of money on things that we simply do not need. So before you buy something, figure out if you actually need it or not. Number 2 would be to embrace a simple wardrobe. This is probably one of my favorite things. I wear plain t-shirts. I have a gray t-shirt. I have black t-shirts. I have black long sleeve shirts. I have a few dressier pieces. I own one dress. I have like a cardigan type thing. I keep my wardrobe very, very simple because then I never have to think about what I'm wearing. And I am just not high fashion, I guess. I don't wear really expensive clothing. Most of my clothing comes from Amazon or Old Navy, to be honest. And I wear what I have until you absolutely cannot wear it anymore. I don't replace things. We don't spend money on clothing even every other month. We wear things until we cannot wear them anymore, and then we buy something to replace it. I am not a big clothes person. We don't just go on like a clothes shopping frenzy. It's just not my thing. And shoes, same thing. I would go barefoot all of the time if it was socially acceptable. Number 3 would be to cook at home. Cooking at home is just cheaper. And people can fight about it all day long, but it is. You can still find things on a really good deal. You can batch cook. You can make your meals spread farther with adding, if you don't eat a carnivore diet, you can add things like rice and beans and lentils. But we make our food stretch because, quite honestly, a carnivore diet, you're pretty satisfied most of the day. And so I'm not shoving my face full of snack foods and junk foods and sodas and all of this stuff that's just basically empty calories. So when you're eating a high fat, low carb, no carb diet that's rich in vitamins and minerals, I'm not hungry most of the day. And so I eat about 2 big meals a day. If I'm really hungry, like if I'm running, I will typically try and eat 3 meals and maybe a snack before I go running. But we don't buy a lot of snack foods either. So all of that helps keep our food budget under control. Number 4 would be to repair instead of replacing where you can. So getting your phone repaired, getting your computer repaired, learning how to replace like parts on your vacuum. And this is really hard because I think so many of the things that are made today are made to just be trashed. And so getting it fixed always isn't the best option, or sometimes it's just more expensive than buying a new thing. But like, for example, shirts, you can mend them. Couches, like if there's a rip in the couch, mending the rip in the couch. Cleaning things to bring them back to a newer-ish, that's a word, status. So just wherever you can, repair instead of replace, or better yet, just see if you can do without it if it's just beyond repair. Try like a 30-day challenge where you try and go without the item and see if you can get away with it. The next one is practice mindful spending. So this essentially means to cut out all impulse spending. And the way we practice this is we have a grocery list. We have a grocery list and we don't buy anything that's not on the grocery list. We learned this from Joshua Fields Milburn. He said that they make a grocery list, they go to the store, if they see something they realize they needed, they still don't get it because it wasn't on the list, and it just helps them to practice more mindful spending. And another thing is sticking to a budget, sticking to a strict budget. This comes in handy with our food budget because our food budget around here can really spiral out of control really, really fast. Next, I mentioned this, I think in the last 2 videos, but it's still worth repeating. Downsize if you can, move to a cheaper place, do whatever you can to reduce housing costs because it's crazy out there, but if you can do your research, I really think that you can find a good deal on housing in most areas. The next one, I've kind of lost count on what number I'm on. It's number 7. It goes back to the mindful spending. Again, no impulse purchases. Some people put in their budgets for impulse purchases. I don't put a line item in our budget for impulse purchases because I try to cut them out completely. The minimalists have like a 30-day, is it 30-day? It might be 30-hour. I'm not sure what, they set time limits on how long they have to wait before they buy something. I think Joshua Fields Milburn said if it's over $30, he has to wait 30 hours. And if it's over $300, he has to wait 30 days. I think that's what he said. Sorry, I'm getting text messages. The next one would be to do a detailed budget and stick to it. I've talked about this before. 2 of my favorite apps are EveryDollar and You Need a Budget. Neither of these are sponsored. I have just used both. I really love both for different reasons. I love EveryDollar because you can customize it each month and you're not stuck to your categories. And it's just very, very simple. It's very easy to see what you made, what you brought in, and how much you spent. It's very, very simple. It does not work well with credit cards, and I don't like how the funds work per se, and reconciling can be a pain in the butt. But for user friendliness, there's a free version, and just for simplicity, EveryDollar is the way to go. YNAB, if you're a credit card user who uses their credit card like a debit card and pays it off each month, and you super nerd out over budgets and you want a way to reconcile, because we all know that when our budget's off 8 cents, it drives you crazy. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me that gets driven crazy when my budget isn't matching my bank account. Because if my budget isn't matching my bank account, I don't know if it's safe to spend in a certain area. YNAB is phenomenal at handling credit cards, handling reconciliation. It's just phenomenal. And you can also track your investments, all of that. The only downside to YNAB is you're kind of stuck in your categories, or you have to hide them or merge them with another category when you're done with them. I've used both. I think both are great. Both have a free trial. So YNAB has a 34-day free trial, which I'll link down below. EveryDollar has a free version, but I also think they give you access to a free trial of their premium, which you can connect your bank accounts. So I would try either one. And you can use any budgeting app you want, really, but I would highly suggest sticking to a budget. Aspen is over there doing something. She's smelling the projector. The next would be to meal plan and shop smart. I've kind of already touched on this, but one way that we stay within our budget for groceries is doing grocery pickup. We typically do Walmart, and just by being able to see the total when I add stuff to the cart, I am consciously aware of how much I'm spending, how much I'm over, and I can think about ways to cut back on certain things, whether it's going from the name brand to a generic version, whether it's getting a smaller amount of something, changing my meal plan based on what we already have to keep it within budget. We just do a bunch of different things to keep it under control. I don't necessarily only shop sales. I shop what we need. But for example, here's one thing that we do. Instead of getting the chicken thighs that are wrapped in the plastic wrap and the saran, I don't know what you call it, styrofoam thing, we buy frozen boneless, skinless chicken thighs out of the freezer section, and it's like $1.50 per pound cheaper. And you don't have to like separate it out. You're not wasting the bags. I'm gonna turn these notifications off. And it's just cheaper. So we buy the frozen boneless, skinless chicken thighs. We don't always do organic, non-GMO. We don't do all of that. For one, we just can't afford it. And two, I figure something is better than nothing. But we also don't eat the cheapest foods humanly possible, because I do believe you will either pay for your health in the food that you eat, or you will pay for your health later in doctor bills. So choose which one you want to do. And I think this is the last one, and that is look at areas of your budget that you can cut out temporarily. Now notice, I did not say cut out for the rest of your life and be miserable. I said temporarily. We have done this for seasons. We have cut out kids' activities for a season. We have cut out subscriptions for a season. We have cut out multiple things for a season for a specific financial goal. And I think that if you're trying to pay off debt, oh, my leg's going to sleep. I think if you're trying to pay off debt, or if you're trying to save up a down payment, or whatever the case may be, temporarily cutting some things out of your budget or cutting things down, again, Under the Median is really great at this. I love their YouTube channel. I will try and link them down below too, but you probably already follow them, so there might not be a need for that. Cutting it by 10% is what Hope always says. So either cutting it out completely or cutting it down by 10%, maybe 50%, just depending on what you can do and what's sustainable for a season. Again, not forever. We cut out so much more when we were getting out of debt than we cut out now, and I still consider us to be fairly frugal, but we are nowhere near the extent that we were when we paid off $20,000 in 11 months. So anyways, guys, I'm really glad that y'all are here. Let me know down in the comments what you think, what kind of videos you would like. Let me know if you're a new subscriber, and I will see you next week.